At the beginning, a boy was sitting at his desk, thinking that he didn't remember when it started, that habit of gazing at her all the time. He wasn't really sure why. He thought to himself that he wasn't a weirdo. She didn't particularly stand out or was popular in class. If he had to describe their relationship simply, he thought at that moment, the girl spoke, handing him something and saying the teacher had asked her to give it to him. She called him Momose-kun. He thought to himself that they were childhood friends. He responded aloud, calling her Fujino-san, but then thought that just being childhood friends didn't mean anything. He thanked her and thought again that, as everyone could see, they called each other by their family names. Since the start of middle school, they had stopped walking to school together and didn't talk as much as they used to. He concluded in his mind that it was whatever. As he looked at the paper she handed him, he looked back at her and thought that now they were in high school. He wondered when they had stopped using each other's first names. Putting his head down on his desk, he remembered how close they used to be when they were little, but thought to himself that that was then, and this was now. Later, he returned home and announced he was home. His sister and mother welcomed him back. His sister called out to him, saying they were home, and his mother told him that Sumi-chan was coming over today. He replied with an absent-minded huh. He asked what and why, sounding surprised. His mother explained that since they were friends, she used to come over all the time, and she had run into her at the supermarket. Apparently, Sumi-chan was living alone now and had already been accepted into high school. His mother said she was really something. Hearing that she lived alone, he responded with a tense face. His mother said her parents had moved after she was accepted into high school. He replied that he didn't know. His mother commented that he should have known, explaining that they got to talking about when the two were little. She smiled, saying Sumi-chan told her she really loved her courage, so she invited her over to have some. He thought to himself, and his mother continued, saying that Sumi-chan was so happy. His sister confirmed it excitedly. He sighed and said, well, that's good. His sister cheered that she got to have dinner with Sumi-chan, repeating, yay, while smiling, and his mother echoed the excitement. He remained silent with a tense face while his mother wondered when the last time Sumi-chan came over was, thinking she'd better make sure dinner turned out great. He didn't respond. His mother continued, saying Sumi-chan had gotten super cute, even cuter than before. She stood up, then sat back down, thinking aloud. She asked if he thought so too. He replied, what are you asking for? In embarrassment, thinking to himself that she wasn't one of the girls in class people called cute. He saw Fujino-san sitting at her seat and was lost in thought until his sister asked when Sumi-chan was coming. Snapping back to reality with a startled noise, he heard his mother repeating the question to his sister, who then shouted why she wasn't coming now. He walked off to his room, thinking maybe he should vacuum and definitely empty the garbage can. Picking up a book, he noted that it had some racy scenes and thought he should probably put it more out of the way. Before he knew it, he found himself cleaning his room, blushing, and thinking he didn't even know if she'd come into his room. Sitting in front of his bookshelf, he sighed, wondering what he was even doing. He noticed something on the shelf and pulled out an album, realizing he had forgotten he even had it, as he barely ever looked at it. Flipping it open on his bed, he thought his mother loved making things like that. Seeing photos from grade school, he thought about how small Chihiro was then she was still little, but not as much as before. He saw blurry photos of himself, Fujino-san, and Shirodori-san, thinking Zu must have taken them. Then he noticed one from when they were even younger. Closing the album, he thought it was kind of fun looking at it. There were a lot of pictures with Fujino-san. Laying back, with the albums resting on his body, he thought about how she used to come over and play a lot. He remembered courage. Thinking back to childhood, he remembered his mother calling out that they were having carriage for dinner. Both he and Sumi-chan reacted happily. While eating, he exclaimed that it was yummy, to which his mother told him to chew his food properly. He replied that it was just so good and asked Sumi-chan to confirm. Seeing her chewing her food and smiling to herself, he smiled too. Returning to the present, he was lying on his bed, thinking the memories were coming back. Fujino-san really did love courage. They would play from morning to night, and when she stayed over, they had so much fun they couldn't sleep and often got yelled at. He remembered they had this thing they did before going to bed called Sleepy Sleepy, Pose Go, or something like that. He laughed to himself, thinking, what even was that? Back then, he was with her more than anyone else. He remembered how she used to call him Yuu-kun. Putting his hand on his face, he thought it really took him back. Sitting up again, he decided he should probably take a bath, thinking how childhood sure was something. Even though she always used to come over, from their parents' point of view, no matter how much time passed, They never seemed to change much from when they were kids. But, he thought, they did change. In the classroom, he heard Sumi calling him Momose-kun. He thought again that they did change. She was always quiet, but suddenly, the bell rang, catching him off guard, and he was shocked back to reality. At home, his mother welcomed Sumi-chan as she arrived. Sumi handed her something sweet as a gift, and his mother thanked her, saying she didn't have to do that. His sister shouted excitedly that Sumi-chan was there. Sumi politely said, "Pardon me," and his sister ran up happily. Seeing her, he said quietly, "Hey," and there was a moment of dead air. She replied softly, "Hey." His stomach growled, and she admitted that it had been so long since she'd been there that she was a bit nervous. Embarrassed, he told her that she used to come over all the time. She agreed but looked down and then asked, for today, if it would be okay if she called him Yuu-kun, like she used to. He was stunned. She quickly corrected herself, saying that his mom might think it was weird, but she still called his mom, Mama Yuu-kun. He remembered that she did used to call her that and responded with an embarrassed, tense, "Ah." Then, as they walked in, he said he didn't mind, it was probably better for his mom. She thanked him, and he stopped to say, "So then, me too," and quietly called her Sumi. She was stunned but smiled softly, agreeing to go with that. His sister called out, asking if they were still talking, and told Sumi-chan to hurry up. He shouted back that they were coming. His sister shouted that she wasn't talking to him, and he thought to himself, "Ouch," while Sumi, smiling, walked in. In a low voice, he whispered to himself that they were using their first names. Seeing the food, he commented that his mother had probably made too much, while saliva dripped from his mouth. She pointed out that his face said otherwise. She told everyone to sit, and his sister cheered. He asked if their dad wasn't coming today, and his mother explained that he was working late and told them to eat first. They thanked her for cooking. While eating, he said yummy, and his sister said, His mother commented that she loved seeing their faces like that. He looked at Sumi, who, with a beaming face, said the food was so tasty. His mother called her cute and told her to eat as much as she wanted, which stunned Sumi, but she thanked her shyly. He kept staring at Sumi, then suddenly started laughing, saying he was just thinking nothing changes. Blushing as he laughed, he said he remembered she used to make that exact same face while eating. Sumi blushed, confused, and his mother agreed, laughing too. Embarrassed, Sumi told them they didn't need to laugh so hard, calling him, "Geez, Yuu-kun." He was stunned hearing that. His mother smiled, saying it felt like they had gone back in time, and she was so happy. He thought to himself that it really did feel that way. After dinner, his sister said it was yummy. He teased her for eating so much, and Sumi thanked them, saying it was very tasty. His mother was glad. Sumi realized the time and said she really should be heading home. His mother was surprised at how fast time had flown. His sister started crying, asking why Sumi-chan was leaving, and he comforted her, saying, There. His mother told Sumi she was welcome back any time. Thinking to himself, again, he heard Sumi say that she was so happy to hear that. She told his mother that the food was really good and she'd love to learn to cook like Mama Yuu-kun. His sister agreed, praising their mom's cooking, and his mother was touched, offering to teach her. Sumi asked if she wouldn't mind, and his mother said, of course not. Sumi thanked her, saying she looked forward to it. His sister ran up to Sumi-chan, telling her she had to come back all the time. Sumi laughed and agreed, saying she would come back all the time, which made his sister beam happily. His mother also said she was always welcome. As his sister kept repeating that, Sumi smiled, saying, Sure, see you later, Chihiro-chan. His mother told him it was dark out and asked him to walk Sumi home. He agreed with a quiet okay. While walking her along the footpath, he apologized. She looked at him questioningly, asking, About what? He replied it was about Chihiro, explaining that she was even more excited than usual today. Sumi found it cute, and he said it could be a bit much every day. She said a lively atmosphere was great. He asked if she really thought so, and she smiled, saying that she got to talk to him again after such a long time, and that made her happy. She blushed and laughed softly. They reached her home, and she thanked him for walking her. He realized it wasn't even 5 minutes away. She told him she'd see him at school tomorrow and wished him a good night. He replied night and waved. Sitting down on the spot after she left, he thought to himself that she had meals at their place before, so it wasn't anything new. Her using his first name, their conversation that was just going back to how they used to be. But even so, blushing hard, he thought that it shouldn't really be any different from how it used to be. So why, he wondered, did it feel like it? He thought to himself that he was so nervous he didn't even use her first name. Yuuichi was staring at his phone while lying in bed, thinking about nostalgia and its definition. For some reason, before going to bed, he had gotten curious and looked it up. The next morning, his alarm rang at 7:50. With an exhausted face, he muttered, "Morning," and thought it was all because his childhood friend had come over for the first time in a while. Still lying in bed, he felt drained. He walked into the kitchen and greeted his family with a sleepy morning. His sister replied with "morning," and his mother also greeted him, noticing how tired he looked. She asked if he had been up late, and he replied vaguely, "Well, yeah, kinda," while eating bread half asleep. As he left, he said, "I'm off," and his mother told him to have a nice day and to be safe out there. Watching him go, she thought she felt worried and decided she would watch until he turned the corner. She hoped he would be okay since he seemed really tired. After Yuuichi left, his sister called out to their mother, saying that Oni-chan had forgotten his bento. At school, Yuuichi put his head down on his desk, lamenting that he had forgotten his bento. He thought he'd just buy lunch, and as he searched his bag, he realized he had brought his gym clothes even though they didn't have gym class that day. He thought he had been pretty spacey that morning, and felt like he was done for. He heard a classmate happily saying, "What? You made me a bento? Thanks." Hearing that, Yuuichi thought about how a bento from a girlfriend sounded like something out of a dream. Putting his head down again, he wondered if something like that even existed in this world. Feeling jealous, he wondered what he could do for lunch, thinking there was no way something like that could ever await him. Suddenly, someone said, "Momose-kun, here's your bento," and dropped it on his desk. Yuuichi looked up, responding with a quiet, "Ah, thanks," but then realized what was happening. Seeing who it was, he said with shock, "KK hey, Fujino-san." She greeted him with a "good morning," and he replied the same, stunned, before blurting out nervously, No, I mean, what? Why do you have my bento?" She explained that his mom had asked her to bring it since she ran into her on the way to school. He replied with an embarrassed, I see. Thank you," thinking to himself that having a childhood friend deliver it really was a possibility. Then she asked him to trade line contacts. He was shocked, asking, "What?" And she asked if he didn't want to. He quickly said no, it was fine, but thought it was just so sudden. Looking at his phone, she explained she just felt like they should. After all, she did say she'd come to his place again. Hearing that, he blushed. She added it was also for the cooking thing. Yuuichi stood up suddenly, and she asked what was wrong. He replied with nothing, and sat down again, looking around and thinking that nobody had heard that, right? She said she would go back to her seat, and he replied, "Okay." Sitting at his desk with his head down, Yuuichi thought to himself that anyway, they had exchanged contacts. But he was on edge the whole time, and it felt so much longer than it really was. He wondered what that feeling was. It wasn't like they were doing anything wrong, and even if someone had seen them, it would have been fine. Looking up, he saw Sumi staring at him. Their eyes met, and he quickly turned his head away while she looked confused. He thought to himself that after all, they were childhood friends. Yuuichi sighed to himself, saying he needed to put his bag in his locker. As he walked to the back of the class, he thought that something really was off with him. Remembering the day before, he thought about how Sumi had asked if it was okay to call him Yuu-kun like she used to. He wondered which he should call her, Sumi or Fujino-san, and blushed, thinking he didn't know. He also noticed that she didn't seem bothered by it at all, and feeling confused, he looked at his phone, thinking he was the one acting weird about it. Staring at his phone, he thought maybe he should send her something online, like, "Thanks for bringing my bento" or something. As he was thinking, Sumi picked up her phone and quickly typed something. He was surprised at how fast she was. Her message said, "You're welcome. Do you still like Kinpira Gobo?" He was surprised, wondering why she asked about Kinpira Gobo. He thought he'd answer her anyway, but was stunned when she followed up, saying it was because it was always in his bento when they were little. Yuuichi wondered how long ago that was and why she remembered something like that. She continued, saying he always had Kinpira Gobo in his bento, didn't he? He replied with an enthusiastic, "Yeah," thinking to himself that he really loved it, and even though he thought he had changed a lot, he really hadn't. He saw Sumi laughing and smiling. She told him there was some in his bento that day too. Looking out at the school building, Yuuichi thought it felt far away, but also kind of near. Nostalgic, but also frustrating. Strange feelings came to him one after another. Later, it began raining, and Yuuichi was running until he ended up under a shed for shelter. Looking out at the rain, he thought the skies had just opened up. He considered running home, but decided it seemed like a passing shower, and maybe he just waited out there. Suddenly, someone called out to him, asking if he was hiding from the rain too. Turning his head, he saw it was Fujino-san. Surprised, he asked if she was okay since she was soaked. She replied that she ran as fast as she could, but she wasn't exactly fast. Yuuichi thought to himself, wondering how she had gotten so wet. Sitting together on the bench, she commented on how hard it was raining, and he agreed. She said she was surprised he was sheltering from the rain. Confused, he asked why. She said it was because he was always running around, rain or not, when they were kids. He replied, saying he was in high school now. She laughed softly, saying she always wondered how he never caught a cold. He said she had a good point. Then he reminded her that she used to play in the rain with him too. She agreed, laughing and smiling. Yuuichi noticed her wet clothes clinging to her and blushed. She called out, "Momose-kun," and he stood up quickly, saying that the rain wasn't letting up. She replied, "No, it isn't," and looking out, said it looked like it would still be a while before it stopped. Blushing, he agreed, thinking to himself that was the first time he had seen a girl's. It was white. He thought, "Huh? Girl? Since when have I?" Looking at her, he thought Sumi was his childhood friend. They were always together. She was more like a sister or something than a girl. So why was his heart racing like this? Then he thought, well, seeing that, anyone would feel that way. She looked at him and asked if he was okay. Scratching his hair, he replied, "Yeah," thinking to himself that he actually felt kind of guilty now. She continued staring at him, wondering what was up with him. Then she realized and said, "Ah, you can see it," as she hid her chest with her bag, blushing. Suddenly, she sneezed 3 times. Yuuichi turned to her, asking if she was okay. She was shaking badly but insisted she was fine. He said, "You aren't okay." She insisted again that she was just a bit cold, and he thought, "A bit?" Seeing her shaking as hell. Remembering something, he checked his bag and called out to her. She turned, and he offered her his gym clothes, saying she could use them if she wanted. She was stunned and asked why he had his gym clothes since they didn't have gym class that day. With an awkward expression, he said he was a bit spacey that morning. She replied, "I see. Well then, why don't you wear them?" He declined, saying no. Yuuichi then told her that when they were kids, whenever they played in the rain, she would catch a cold every single time. She said she had forgotten that, and he explained it was because they were always playing together. He remembered thinking how without Sumi, it just wasn't fun. She replied quietly, "I see," while blushing hard and hiding her face under the bag. Yuuichi felt embarrassed, thinking it was the truth but still embarrassing. Standing up, he said that he never caught a cold from the rain and told her she knew that, right? Blushing, she replied, "Yeah, I know, thank you." Yuuichi was stunned and awkwardly replied, "Sure," scratching his head. She told him she was going to change and asked him to make sure nobody came. He said, "Roger." While changing, she commented that his tracksuit was so big. Turning to her, he mumbled, "Well, She came close to him, and Yuuichi was confused. She stood on her toes, bringing her face close to his, and said that when they were in grade school, she was taller than him. Smiling softly, she said that now, she couldn't reach him even when standing on tiptoes. He blushed, stunned. She walked past him, noticing that the rain had stopped. Turning back, she told him, "Let's go home." Yuuichi thought to himself that they were close, then far, and now getting closer again. He replied with an okay, but also thought that sometimes it felt like they were still so far apart. While walking, Sumi called out, "By the way," and he replied, "Hmm?" She said that the days they couldn't play together weren't any fun for her either. Yuuichi was stunned, thinking that sometimes it felt like things hadn't changed, and sometimes it felt like they had. Whatever it was dizzying. Blushing hard, he quietly said, "Really?" thinking to himself that he really was off today. The next day, the teacher announced that Fujino-san was out with a cold and asked everyone to be wary of that. Sitting at his desk, Yuuichi said quietly to himself, "She hasn't changed at all," thinking, unsurprisingly, Fujino-san had caught a cold. Yuichi's mother had asked with a tense face if Sumi-chan was absent because of a cold, and Yuuichi confirmed it. She wondered if Sumi was okay, and Yuuichi explained that since her house was nearby, the teacher asked him to deliver some homework, so he would go there quickly. His mother, standing behind him, commented that he was fast about that kind of thing. As she turned to leave, she told him to wait a bit if he was going to Sumi-chan's house. Yuuichi, feeling tense, saw her hand him a 1,000 yen note and cold medicine. He muttered that he didn't get the story, thinking it was just a cold, nothing serious. His mother agreed, saying it was just a cold, but reminded him that Sumi lived alone. Yuuichi froze, and his mother pushed him towards the door, telling him to go. Later, in a park, Yuuichi was at a convenience store looking at drinks. He thought about buying Waiter sports drink and wondered what sweet Sumi liked but realized he had no idea. Deciding on something common would be fine, he headed to the cashier. Arriving at apartment 302, he stood in front of the door, confirming it was the right place. He thought he just had to drop the homework in the mailbox but felt nervous, wondering why visiting his childhood friend's house made him feel that way. He rang the doorbell, thinking no one was answering and she might be sleeping. Then his phone rang, and Sumi texted that she was coming. Standing on the balcony, he checked his phone, thinking it took her a while, and noticed he was sweating. When the door opened, she apologized for the delay, and Yuuichi turned to see her, thinking she looked really unwell. He asked if she was okay, and she replied with a smile that she felt much better compared to the morning. Yuuichi thought she didn't look like it. He handed her the bag, explaining it was the homework the teacher asked him to deliver. As she reached out to take it, she suddenly collapsed. Yuuichi shouted her name as she sank near the door, telling her she really wasn't okay. She apologized, saying it seemed she used up all her strength just to reach the entrance. Yuuichi, tense, said that resting a bit would make her better, but he thought it was more serious than he expected. He told her not to rest there but to go to bed and offered to help her. Sumi agreed but said even walking was hard, so she asked, calling him Yuu-kun, if she could ride on his back like a little horse. Yuuichi asked if she was serious, and when she asked if he didn't want to, he said with a blushing face that she still had the energy to joke around while still calling him Yuu-kun. She laughed softly. Yuuichi thought that for some reason they felt so close today, and he wondered why. Seeing her suffering, he sat in front of her before getting up, saying, "Damn," and told her to get on his back since she couldn't walk. She asked if he was sure, blushing, and he replied that there was no way he wouldn't help her. As she got on his back, she asked how long it had been since they last played horsey. Yuuichi, tense, just said, "Ah, how long," and she thanked him, pressing her chest against his back, making him blush hard and think he understood. Sumi called his name softly, blushing, and asked if she was heavy with a sad expression. Yuuichi, panicking inside, thought that wasn't it and told her no, thinking there were several things making his heart race. She teased him, saying she caught him, and he assured her she wasn't heavy. She looked relieved and almost fell, prompting Yuuichi to warn her not to push herself or move so much. On her bed, Sumi lay down while Yuuichi sat on the floor, opening a bottle of sports drink. She asked if he bought it for her, and he said yes, asking if she could manage to drink it. He explained his mom told him to buy whiter and take medicine too. Sumi smiled and thanked him, saying Mama Yuu-kun was so kind and to thank her for her. Yuuichi said, "Okay." Sumi apologized for being in pajamas, saying she thought about changing clothes. Yuuichi, tense, told her it was fine and not to worry. She mumbled that if it was Yuu-kun someday, then stopped. Yuuichi saw her sleeping face and thought she had calmed down a bit. Sitting on the floor, he realized he hadn't had time to think until now. Looking around at her toys and television, he felt anxious, thinking he planned to leave but couldn't just leave her alone, so he ended up in her room. He thought that it was just his childhood friend's room, but he was only getting nervous now. He worried if staying too long would pressure her. Standing up, he said he would go now and told her to take care. But Sumi woke up, grabbed his clothes, and begged him not to go away. Yuuichi remembered that whenever Sumi got sick, she became fussy and would say things she normally wouldn't say, like, "Don't go, please," with a sad expression. Standing there, he thought her words felt nostalgic, and blushing, he wondered why his heart was racing as he looked at her face.
By the way, if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking and subscribing, pretty please?